Okay, this is the morning of Raku Day. We have 4 different Raku glazes. Pretty much all glazes are broken down into 4. Or 3 glazes really. White crackle, which are the ones that crackle, copper mats, and shiny copper glazes. All other Raku glazes kind of fit within those. You can have variations like different color crackles by adding mason stains or coloring oxides like cobalt. The copper mats, I mean, people put cobalt in them, people put iron and other things. I have seen iron do some stuff in it, but cobalt's not going to show up. It's non-reactive in a surface like that. Anyway, and the copper, the shiny copper, same thing. The only time that shiny copper really has a difference is when you reduce in the kiln. Anything that has a color in it that's besides copper is going to get covered up pretty much completely when you reduce it and get a shiny copper surface. If you have the underlying color show through, meaning that you're not fully reduced, then it'll show up. But for the most part, we go for, fully reduced, full copper effects. But there are certain artists and, areas in which people are going to be doing, different surfaces on it. But, there's 3 major glazes, and then you can have variations on those glazes. Common Raku recipes, the white crackle is 80% Guernsey borate, 20% nepheline cyanite. The shiny copper, you can start with white crackle with a percentage of copper. Some people will add iron or a little more clay to it. And the dry mat, the copper mat, I've done stuff as far as taking 50% slip, 50% white crackle, and then, a large percentage of copper does it. The copper mat, people have varying recipes. People just put a wash of copper on. Experiment, it's not a hard surface to get. The durability of the surface is what people have all these recipes for. Some glazes are going to re-oxidize over time, some people put sealer on and everything, but that's not covered in this video. This is just the basics of Raku. Applying Raku glaze, it doesn't need to go on very thick. The white crackles, the Raku bursts, the shiny coppers, the matte coppers, none of them need to go on very thick. The white crackle and everything, I usually don't dip a glaze. Another thing, with 80% Guernsey borate, the Raku glazes become very puddingy. They don't stay very much like a liquid. So brushing them on is usually a better way to apply them than dipping. If you have to dip them, you need to thin them out relatively far before they, become liquid enough that you can dip them without having big globs on it. But then the glaze itself is too thin of a layer. Guernsey borate is kind of a weird ingredient. So it's just brushed on. The coats don't matter much. It's not something that you're going to see the thickness of. As long as you get a coat on, you're fine. Some people believe putting a thicker coat on gives you a different result. I haven't found that. It seems to be more an instance of having a firing schedule and a cooling schedule that affects the glaze a lot more than the thickness. Same with the shiny copper and the matte copper. I don't glaze the inside of a Raku piece because it's not going to be functional. You really can't see inside of it, and it's just a waste of glaze. On a small piece, if you happen to pour the glaze in and pour it out, you will get what we call Raku Muffins, where the glaze pours out the top like a volcano, which can be kind of cool in a kiln, but not good for the pieces around it.